The following podcast is an enticing media production.
Where the Nell have you been? Join us for conversation about life, business, and everything in between. Welcome to What the Nell, where we've got stories to tell. Here's your host, Nell Tice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the What the Nell podcast with your host, Nell Tice. I am really excited today because this is kind of, my guest is at a point in his journey that a lot of guests on my podcast are not exactly at. They either are entrepreneurs, full-fledged, or they're not. So we've got someone here that's kind of on the journey to full-time entrepreneurship. So I'm really excited to talk to him. But first, I am going to introduce him. His name is Jon Emery. After losing a 20-year job and navigating a divorce, he embarked on a transformative path. This journey led him to authenticity with a deep desire to connect to others, which led him to creating his podcast, Life's Checkmark. Through the platform, Jon offers comfort and understanding to those feeling alone in their journeys. This quest for authenticity extended to his role as a father, allowing him to forge deeper connections with his children. Alongside his family, he enjoys the companionship of an amazing dog and finding peace in nature through hikes and outdoor adventures. Jon, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Nell. Thanks for having me. This is going to be great.
Yeah, I'm really excited. So we first met a few months ago, and I will say, so you're currently in a full-time position and you are still on the journey of embarking on entrepreneurship. Am I correct?
That's correct.
Okay, cool. So when we spoke last, I sensed a little bit of hesitation in your voice about taking that leap and finally getting on that full-time path. So I want to know, since I've spoken to you, where exactly are you on your journey and what's your mindset like these days?
Yeah, sure. So where I'm at is I'm still there in between, right? So I still have a full-time job, and I actually just launched a course community and coaching program back in April. And so that's kind of make the shift, right? So I have to find space for that. So podcasting I do at night when I'm done my full-time job. So that's when I'm also doing the coaching and stuff. So that's kind of like where I'm at. And with the mindset part, it's hard to shuffle that back and forth. I want to say it's with the group of people that I'm surrounded by now that's kind of helping me grow and keep pushing me along, even though I feel like I'm by myself sometimes.
Yep.
And that's not the case. There's some amazing entrepreneurs that I've met. I joined some groups and stuff, networked, and I've done a lot. I mean, you name it. With the podcast, I don't know who you're meeting, but it's a lot more people than you would just sitting around doing nothing.
For sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a game changer right there, because if I didn't have a community of any type of entrepreneur that's been down that road, I wouldn't say I wouldn't keep going, but it'd definitely be tougher, right?
Yeah.
With that being said, I have a business consultant now. I've hired a fitness coach and stuff. And, I've done all this stuff to change things in my life that I would have never done before alone.
Yeah.
And it's great to just carry this out. So yeah, that's where my mindset is. So I'm kind of like in that struggle phase still and trying to find the time to do everything. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And, you're doing it really smart. I walked into work one day and resigned, and I didn't really have a plan. I'm a very impulsive type person. And a lot of people out there would say, "Oh, wow, that's what you did. Okay, no plan. Wow." So kudos to you for having some restraint and creating that plan. And I think that's really important to really emphasize, is that you should have some sort of a plan. But I have to know, what's it going to take for you to take that leap?
Yeah, to be full time, it's going to be like I have to replace my full time income first.
Yeah.
I think is what
Yeah.
it's going to take. if
Yeah.
not more, right? So I'd be like, well, I gotta like double it at least to say I'm okay and have a cushion, right? That's kind of like what I'm thinking. But the advice I got was maybe have 6 months of reserve
Mhm.
and go, and you already have something bringing money in already before you even leave. That's the advice I was given.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good advice. And like I said, I would not necessarily authorize anyone to do exactly what I did. Not necessarily the smartest of things, but we all have our stories. So what are you doing and what are you are in pursuit of? So what is the business that you're looking to take on?
So the business I have is podcasting. So I kind of learned it on my own. And right now I know these people out there that don't know how to podcast, afraid to, for whatever reason, I don't know. Like it was tough for me to get going. It took me 6 months from somebody say, do this. And then I was like, I'm by myself. And I'm like, all right, and I finally just did it, but I didn't have somebody holding me accountable. I didn't have somebody hovering over me. When you going to get it? When you going to do this? And
Yeah.
so that's why I created a community and coaching and a course to get things moving so they can take the steps I took to get to from zero, episode zero to episode 10 and launch it. That's the
Yeah.
idea. And then after that, keep going. I don't want you to stop there.
No.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And there's a whole bunch behind it. You have to have a game plan. Why are you doing this? And the one question I ask everybody is, if nobody listened, would you keep on doing it? Right. And
Hmm.
that was really my thing. Like I didn't do this to create an audience. I didn't do it for that. I did it to learn how other people experience their journeys in life. And because I had one of my own. And I was like, how they navigate, how they get through things. And I'll be honest with you, some of these amazing stories, I call them a journey because I think a story is like you close the book and it's over. Um, but it's amazing how they got through something that you can even fathom going through
Yeah.
and thinking that what you went through was really hard, but it's really hard for you. So
Yeah.
that was my reason to start, and everybody else has their own reason. Everybody has their own story to share, whatever the podcast is that they're going to create.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think are some of the most powerful points about podcasting? I mean, connection is certainly one of them, but what are some really impactful things that can happen with podcasting?
Yeah, so yeah, networking is definitely a plus, and I'll share real quick that, I was able to connect so many other guests I'm like, oh, you should connect so,
Yeah.
there was some kind of synergy there. So that's been fun. And, sometimes you hear things that come out of it. Sometimes you don't, but you do your best to connect them. Uh, Also with the podcasting, it's, you're learning more about yourself too, like how you can handle things, how you can tweak things, uh, get more creative, right? And
Hmm.
it's funny because I just had a guest on tonight for being creative. She was talking about, doing art and stuff, and she was sharing how a podcast does that. You're using the one side of your brain, left or right, I don't remember, but
Oh, that's cool.
yeah, and that's what she was saying. You're being creative, and it is, right? So I'm doing video and audio, and
Mhm.
that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we're creating
I can
content.
attest to it. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but it's fun. It's not work if you enjoy it, right? And so
Absolutely.
I'm learning the AI and all that stuff too. But yeah, some other points is just some people look at it as a hobby, some people look at it as a business, and I just look at it as just following your why, the reason for why you wanted to start, because people
Yeah.
fall, and I feel like they just got to look back why they started.
Yeah, I think podcasting is one of those things where it really depends on your goals for the podcast, your why, basically. There are some people, I mean, originally I started because I'd grown up wanting to be in front of a camera or in front of a microphone and always felt like I had the ability to entertain people somehow, whether it be through my face or voice or both. And podcasting and YouTube and all of the things that we have now that we didn't have when I was growing up that gives us the ability to do all of that. And I thought, well, I can, so why wouldn't I? And I agree with you. Everybody's got a story to share and it's unique. And you can, even if one person is listening or 100 people are listening, as long as you're getting to that one person, that's all that matters. And so I think that podcasting is really important and definitely networking. And, but some people are in it to make money. And I think it's also really important to highlight how incredibly difficult that is. I think people think that the second you get to 1 million downloads, you're automatically rolling in the dough.
Yeah.
It's not how it works.
No, and everybody's so quick to get 100 downloads, 1,000 downloads, and my focus was just to keep on going and share. Mine was the journey of some other people, and hopefully that can touch somebody else's um, issues in their life or whatever, and they can reach out to them or somebody else. That's the mission for mine. So everybody's got their own, right?
Yeah,
And like you said, you just said it, to touch that one person. So
yeah.
everybody's different, people are, there's comedy, there's the true crime stuff, it's do what you love.
Yeah, absolutely. What are a couple of tips that you would offer to someone that is on the brink of starting a podcast, but not quite there yet, but just needs a little motivation to get going?
Yeah, there's a real big one out there where everybody says just start, right? But then everybody goes, I don't know where to start or how to start. So that's when you can join a community. You talk to somebody that's done it, and hopefully that person can lead you the way. It's just like hiring a business consultant. It's like everything else out there, to take you from A to B in this short period of time because they went through it. So definitely talk to somebody that's been through it before and gotten to somewhere down the road. And don't give up. It's
Yeah.
it's gonna be tough. And I don't know about your experience, but for me it was create 10 and then launch 3 and then the rest a week thereafter. So you had that gap in between to find more guests or make more solo episodes, whatever you decide to do.
Yeah.
And you're not beating yourself up. You don't know how many times I ran into these people that are like, I just posted my first one. Now I got to hurry up and figure out the second one. And then it's like 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. And then they stop or they post another one and they wonder why nobody's listening and stuff. And it falls
Yeah.
off.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of batching episodes.
So when you say
I,
batching, what do you mean by that?
so, basically, what I mean is I'll take a day and I will get as many episodes scheduled or interviews, I should say, scheduled as I can in that day. So I'll record and I tend not to do more than 3 a day because people don't realize it, but podcasting is actually exhausting. I mean, you're on and you're engaged throughout the entire conversation. I can't tell you how many conversations that you go into in any normal space in your life, you're not as enthralled or focused or in tune with it as much as you are, as I think you are in podcasting or even radio. And because that's the whole point of this is the conversation. So being able to inflict the dramatics, the emphasis on certain words and having that infliction and the actual storytelling capabilities of telling a story and having a conversation is something that at least I focus on. Maybe I overthink it, but batch recording episodes and taking that one day to get them all done. Okay, so if I do 3 a day, I've got 3 weeks of content and I don't have to be scrambling for the next episode. And a really easy tip to do this is put out a form or some sort of something on social media in your Facebook groups or on Instagram and say, hey, I'm looking for guests. Do you want to be a guest? And I got to tell you, the first time I did that, I had to take the post down. I got 35 requests in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was like, I know statistically, all of these requests are not going to come through. That's just not going to happen. But hypothetically, I could be set for the next year.
crazy. I know they're hungry. People are hungry to get on, but they don't have a podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They just want to share
absolutely.
what they have to offer or their story, whatever it is. But yeah, they're out there. So for me, I have a hard time batching, just like you said. Like
Yeah.
especially working full time and then
Oh,
going, okay,
yeah.
let me sit down at night and I'm gonna do this. Why I have a dog crying that wants to take her for a walk, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so for a while there, I did, maybe one for three days out of the week, to
Mhm.
slowly get ahead. Like right now, I have 16 episodes already recorded.
That's
You know,
fantastic.
yeah. So I post one a week, so I'm good for like 4 months if I want to.
Good
That's
for
not my
you.
plan. That's I don't want these people sitting on them, but now I'm doing two a week. As far as
Yeah.
reporting.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with that. So I had to cut back, but people are just like you said, they're just swarming in and go, yeah, let me come on in.
Right? They'll do
And
everything to be a guest.
yeah, everything to be guessed. But for me, my strategy is I'll talk to the person first for 20 minutes before I even schedule them to be a guest. If they don't
Yep.
show up to that, they don't show up. And then, I make sure that, yeah, we're a good fit. Like you're
Hmm.
going to come on and be open and honest for my podcast. And
That's
this is what I
huge.
provide to you. A lot of people don't do that. They just have a form, fill it out, and then I don't know who I'm talking to then. So,
I absolutely, I agree. I used to do that same thing. I used to just have a form, people could fill it out, but then switch to the meet and greet format where we take 15 minutes, get to know each other, and figure out if we're a good fit or not. And I think that's really important to add that vetting process in because, I mean, the last thing you want to do is record an episode and have to say, I can't release that.
that's exactly right. I know. And I know it's time consuming, but and I think you would agree, you build that connection and then you might have some kind of business transaction or relationship, something growing out of that
Yeah.
prior
Yeah.
to the yeah.
That's 100% true. And I think that the intention behind why you start is really important. I'll say, I never intended to make money from the podcast. And I think in that intention, it almost is leading in that direction, which is a nice bonus. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining at all. Just saying the original intention was to create connection. And I think if you go with those types of intentions, then you might actually find yourself in positions you never expected yourself to be in with your podcast. Would you agree?
I would agree with you totally. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
it's a pretty cool thing. Podcasting is, I think, I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do. I would think you would agree with that too.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I've been to the Pod Fest twice, and I've been doing this
It's
for
cool.
about a year and a half, so almost 2 years.
Yeah,
And I'm not giving up. It's
good.
fun. It can be a long ride because it takes time. You
Yeah.
know, um, and I heard Joe Rogan took like 5 years before it got big, right?
Hmm.
And what's it, Alex Hormozy, he's another one where he said, oh, it took me like 6 years, and now it's all, and it
Yeah.
does. It takes time. It's not
Yes.
going to happen overnight. But
Yeah.
what's the intention? Why are you doing it? That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah. And that consistency, like you said, don't give up. And that's really important. Did you ever hear the statistic that about 90 some percent of podcasters fail or don't even make it to episode 10 or 20 or something like that?
Right.
It is an alarming number.
Yeah. I think you're in the top 1% of podcasting after 10 or 20. One or the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's
I'll
what
have
it
to go
is.
back and look, but it's one or the other. Yeah, it is. And so that's what makes it harder for you and I to stand out because we're still continuing, but others might have a higher ranking somehow,
Mhm.
and that's why the statistics, it's not even worth looking at sometimes.
I agree.
Um, yeah, yeah. And I've been to the Podfest and a lot of these people have been doing it for years, 20 plus years or whatever.
Yeah.
When people, became big and they'll say the same thing. They're like, you don't need that many followers or downloads or whatever. It's just the few that listen to you.
Yeah.
And that's all it takes. And they committed. They kept on going.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And yeah, no, I would love to go to a pod fest. I've thought about it for the past couple of years and just haven't pulled the trigger on going, but I'm sure that's probably the place to be to learn all about podcasting. So, where do you see everybody always asks the same question, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years with this?
Keep going. Uh, for me, it's connecting with others, building deeper connections, and also the content. And with me having two kids, and who knows if one day something might happen, there's that all over the internet or whatever. And everything I've experienced, I've learned from these people and
Mhm.
myself. They hopefully they can pick up and go back and watch it and stuff. I'm sure they watch clips here and there.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll get feedback from them, but that'd be a bonus if they can go ahead and, oh, this is what dad did. This is what he learned, and maybe I should follow this guy too or something. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm not stopping. I have, I love this. Like, this is great.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely you can tell your passion for podcasting is, I mean, radiates. And it's really cool to see that because you can definitely tell, and I've edited enough podcast episodes to see where some people start burning out on it. And when it's not fun anymore, or you can't think of the content, because that's hard too. There's a lot of aspects behind podcasting that are really hard and take its toll on you. And you can hear it in your voice that you're very passionate about what you're doing. And I love that. So, what advice would you give to somebody that is in that mindset right now? They're like, oh, I've been doing this, I'm not seeing any results. I I want to give up. What advice would you give to somebody that's at that point in their podcasting journey?
Yeah, I hate to be a broken record, but remember why you started, right? That's really what it is. And there might be moments where I go, why am I doing this? And why I started? Like,
Mhm.
because I wanted to learn how other people navigate through their journeys in life.
Yeah.
And it's great. And then you start seeing comments and you start seeing likes and stuff, and people are
Mhm.
listening.
Yeah.
They don't have to express themselves in any way with the stuff that they watch or listen to,
Mhm.
but they're there.
Yes.
And I haven't gotten that breakthrough email or anything where somebody goes, "Thank God I listened to your
Mhm.
podcast the other day, saved my life." But I've heard it from others that said they received it, and that's why they just kept moving forward. You
Yeah.
know, but
That's
yeah,
cool.
that a broken record, but yeah, that's what I was saying.
No, it's really true. And it's someday one of those things is going to happen. I can still remember I got an email from a guest that I had on the podcast a few months ago, and he's actually doing a walk across America right now. And I think his name is Ranger Kylak, and it's pretty cool to see his journey. But he started his walk in South Carolina, and he's going to end up in obviously California. And he was in Georgia, I think or no, I'm sorry, Western South Carolina. And he ran into somebody that said, "Oh, I've been following your journey. I heard about you on the What the Nell podcast." And he
Uh,
sent me this email to tell me this. And I was like, whoa, wait, what? Somebody in South Carolina listens to my podcast. I was like geeking out. It was an amazing feeling. And I think that podcasting should always feel like that.
that is cool. Yeah, that's a good story. So for me, there's not been something like that big like that, but I've been on a show with a woman in South Africa,
Mhm.
and I've been able to make connections with her, with other guests and stuff, and just seeing the network grow like that. And now she's responding to my posts and stuff, and it's just growing there too. So
That's
it's
amazing.
just fun. Yeah, I enjoy every moment of it. I enjoy. I'm playing with the AI more and more, just to learn more about it. And,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing, but man, the stuff they have out there now, it's just
It's wild. What's your favorite AI tool that you're using right now?
Opus Clip I'm using, and I'm
Okay.
also using Cast Magic. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I've
that's
heard
been
of them.
that was a hard one for me to start, but
Yeah.
I'm starting to enjoy it more and more.
I've
But
signed up for all these accounts, but I never keep them.
Opus Clip and everything they keep launching has just been amazing. Like now they have a calendar, you can schedule things on all your platforms, which is
Nice.
awesome. And
Nice.
it just they were just shooting out something else the other day. I forget what it is, but I didn't play around with it. But yeah, that those are the two main ones I've been, and they're Chat GPT generated anyway, so you don't have to
Right.
keep going back to that and using it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. No, I actually like video AI for captions. And because I typically, when I'm breaking down an episode, I'm just marking off spots that I think are really good for clips. So I haven't let AI take control of that yet for me. And it also saves on the plan that I have to have every month because I don't upload the most amount of minutes. So it's all good.
I know, but it's fun.
It's very fun. It's very fun to use a lot of the tools that are available to us. And we're really lucky this day and age because when people started podcasting way back when,
Yeah.
these options were not available.
No.
So, all right. So, John, it's a tradition here at the What the Nell podcast to ask the guest if they have a What the Nell story to share with us. So, a What the Nell story being something quirky that happened to you. It could be a bug crawled across your plate at lunch today. It could be about the topic at hand or not. So, do you have a What the Nell story to share with us?
Something quirky.
Something to leave the audience thinking, what the Nell just happened here?
Why would they want to listen to this guy? Yeah. Uh, Off the top of my head, I want to say no. You know what? How about this? I'll share this with you. I posted this on Facebook. So I'm all about being authentic. I'm all
Mhm.
about being myself, having the guests come on, being themselves.
Yeah.
And so here I am in the backyard with my dog, and there's a creek in the backyard. Small, I mean, but it's got wildlife, right? Snakes, frogs, all
Oh,
this.
oh boy.
Yeah, great, good stuff. Hopefully this is quirky enough for you. But so I have her playing ball with me across the creek where there's more grass, and I happen to look down, and there's this frog about this big, like just sitting in the grass, being as still as it could be,
Mhm.
not to move. And it was shocking to me that my dog was able to run back and forth, not step on it, not smell it, and stuff like that. Uh, and so for me, the post I created was like, be your authentic self, stop hiding it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if that frog did not stay still, I don't know what would have happened. Or my dog would have went after it and got it for good. But
Oh
that's
boy.
probably the quirkiest thing I could think of really quick for you right here.
Listen, we've never had a story involving a frog, so yeah, you're good.
Okay. Okay. Awesome.
Awesome. So tell everybody how can they connect with you? Where can they find you? Where can they get your course?
Yeah. So you can go to lifescheckmark.com. You can check out the information about the course, the community, the coaching program there. You can find me on Facebook. It is probably the best one. I'm also on YouTube if you want to look up Life's Checkmark on YouTube. So I have
Awesome.
my episodes and stuff on there as well in video. And there's email too, but all the other information is on the website. So it's the best.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on this episode. I really appreciate it. I rarely do because I do podcasting and obviously and editing and all the things. I rarely talk to anybody about podcasting on my podcast. So it was fun to turn the tables and hear from someone else about their own podcasting journey and where they believe other people should be in their podcasting journey. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. This was a great time, and I'm glad you had me on.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you to all of the listeners for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. We are in full video mode now. And of course, if you're listening on your favorite audio platform, please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. That's how we grow here at the What the Nell podcast. So thank you so, so much. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.
To learn more about how to tell your story, connect with Nell at enticingmedia.com. That's ENTICEING media.com. Thanks for listening to the What the Nell podcast.